No, we don't need to do that today. Y'all just gonna have to follow along with the scriptures. Everybody got their scriptures? Yeah. Apps on your phone.
The notes.
Oh, we live, y'all. We live. We are live. Shabbat shalom, family.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom, family.
Shabbat shalom. Hallelujah.
Wake up, Mr. West. Shalom, shalom to the family. Tuning in. Shabbat shalom to everybody who's tuned in on the live. Shalom, shalom to the elders amongst us, all the children of Israel, and even to the Gentiles who are choosing to serve Yah in spirit and in truth. This is your brother, MIKA'EL, and to my right we have
Yaakov.
We have Yaakov, and we are echadmalkutministries. Please make sure y'all like, subscribe, comment, and share. I forgot to put the banner up. Also, if y'all have any questions, any comments, or if you want to reach us out for immersions or baptisms, make sure that y'all email us at the email that's going across the screen. We are in a season, especially where we can baptize. So if you're interested, just make sure y'all message us. So with that being said, let's get started. Today's lesson is called Drive Out the Sin or Be Driven Away from Yah. Hold on real quick, y'all. Well, my bad, family. So the lesson is called Drive Out the Sin or Be Driven Away from Yah. One of the reasons I wanted to go over this lesson is because sometimes in Israel we take this mentality that, like, I know when I first came into this walk, we kind of take this put all on Yah type mentality, meaning when Yah comes back, he'll fix everything. When Yah comes back, he'll do this, he'll do that. And y'all looking at us like I gave you a whole book to do things that you don't need me necessarily to come sit right next to you and do. And I think oftentimes as Israel, we like to take the onus off ourselves. And we would like to take the accountability and responsibility of being able to change our sinful nature to righteousness and think that Yah should just be able to do everything for us. But anybody knows a good son or daughter is one who knows how to take instructions while you have to sit there and hold their hand the whole time. And that's the place that Yah is trying to get us to, where he ain't got to keep holding our hand. But we first got to be able to identify what sin is. And I think one of the key things, I was talking to an elder, he was talking about sin. He said, I think he said sometimes sin, it may not necessarily be written in the book. It could just be out of pure disobedience and not listening to what's told to you, you know. And sometimes we get sold by the book that we forget the intricate details of just simply listening. Listening is, or not listening itself, is a sin. Because what is sin? The transgression of the law. And in transgression of the instructions. Transgression is literally means to go against that which has been told to you. So really, the abundance of sin is anytime you do opposite of what's told to you. And I'll give you an example. If Yah said to move to Atlanta, but you say I'm gonna wait until 3 months from now, you're not necessarily saying you're not moving, But what you are saying is you're gonna move on your own time. The sin is he told you to move now. You see what I'm saying? And so I want to go through, I like to call it diagnostic, and we're gonna get to that too, of what really was the problem in Israel, what was sin identified to YAH, and how do we be able to not only identify people who are in sin, but how we keep away from the sin. So again, make sure y'all click like, subscribe, and comment. We're gonna start at the book of Judges, chapter 1 through 36. I'm gonna share my screen real quick. Right? So, book of Judges, and for the tribe, some of y'all have heard this before, but once you put it in proper perspective, you get a whole nother meaning behind what we read. So, Judges, the book of Judges, chapter 1, verse 1. Let's start there.
All right, this is the book of Judges, chapter 1, starting at verse 1. Now, after the death of Joshua, it came to pass that the children of Israel asked the Lord, saying, who shall go up for us against the Canaanites first, to fight against them? And the Lord said, Judah shall go up first. Behold, I have delivered the land unto his hand.
Mm-hmm.
And Judah said unto Simeon his brother, come up with me into my lot, that we may fight against the Canaanites. And I likewise will go with thee unto thy lot. So Simeon went with him, and Judah went up. And the Lord delivered the Canaanites and the Perizzites into their hands.
Mm-hmm.
And they slew of them in Bezek 1,000 men. And they found Adonai Bezek in Bezek.
Adonai Bezek.
And they fought against him.
Mm-hmm.
And they slew the Canaanites and the Perizzites.
Mm-hmm.
But Adonai Bezek fled, and they pursued after him and caught him and cut off his thumbs and his great toes.
Right.
And Adonai Bezek said, 70 kings, having their thumbs and their great toes cut off, gathered their meat under my table, as I have done so. God hath requited me. And they brought him to Jerusalem, and there he died. Now the children of Judah had fought against Jerusalem, and had taken it, and smitten it with the edge of the sword.
So just to give y'all some background, this is a period of time during the time of Yahushua or Joshua, the son of Nun, where they're still cleansing out the land, what we call today the land of Israel. And it was given a commandment by the Most High. And this is what I'm talking about, simple obedience. It was given a commandment for them to cleanse out the whole entire land of their enemies. Not one thing should be left of their existence in this land, pretty much. Let's keep going.
And set the city on fire. Verse 9. And afterward, the children of Judah went down to fight against the Canaanites that dwelt in the mountain, and in the south, and in the valley. And Judah went against the Canaanites that dwelt in Hebron. Now the name of Hebron before was Kirath Araba. And they slew Sheshia and Ahaman and Talmah. And from thence he went against the inhabitants of Debar. And the name of Debar before was Kiriath Sephir. And Caleb said, he that smitten Kiriath Sephir and taketh it, to him will I give Achshah my daughter to wife. And Othniel, the son of Kenaz, Caleb's younger brother, took it, and he gave him Achshah his daughter to wife. And it came to pass, when she came to him, that she moved him to ask of her father a field. And she lighted from off her ass, and Caleb said unto her, what wilt thou? And she said unto him, give me a blessing. For thou.
I'm down to verse 22. So now, just to get I just wanted to get y'all overscope of what's going on. They're cleaning out the land. They're trying to establish the children of Israel in this land, so that YAH can start to truly bless them, and that they should be his people, and that he should be their God. So come on.
Verse 22. And the house of Joseph, They also went up against Bethel, and the Lord was with them.
Right.
And the house of Joseph sent to desecrate Bethel. Now the name of the city before was Luz. And the spies saw a man come forth out of the city, and they said unto him, Show us, we pray thee, the entrance into the city, and we will show thee mercy.
Mm.
And when he showed them the entrance into the city, they smote the city with the edge of the sword, but they let go the man and all his family. And the man went into the land of the Hittites and built a city, and called the name thereof Luz, which is the name thereof unto this day.
Right.
Neither did Manasseh drive out the inhabitants of Bethshean and her towns, nor Tanakh and her towns, nor the inhabitants of Dor and her towns, nor the inhabitants of Imblin and her towns, nor the inhabitants of Megiddo and her towns. But the Canaanites would dwell in that land.
Come on.
And it came to pass, when Israel was strong, that they put the Canaanites to tribute and did not utterly drive them out.
And what was Yah's commandment?
To drive them all out.
Everybody, what was Yah's commandment? And what did we do?
We didn't. We didn't drive them out.
Y'all know what tribute to be a tributary means?
Isn't it when you still kind of cool with them?
Isn't it like you're still like aren't you still like your own?
Under your government?
Yeah, you're still your own nation, but you still
and you pay taxes to the government. So we believe it or not, we are tributaries.
Yeah.
So imagine us, but in reverse. The Canaanites were tributaries to Israel, and that's a key thing to understand, because believe it or not, everything that Israel did not do, or in the essence did do that was sin, Yah used the other nations to do unto us. Let's keep going.
Verse 29. Neither did Ephraim drive out the Canaanites that dwelt in Gezer, but the Canaanites dwelt in Gezer among them. Neither did Zebulun drive out the inhabitants of Kitron.
You see the 10.
Nor the inhabitants.
The northern king was tripping out here, man.
Oh yeah.
Come on, man.
Nor the inhabitants of Nahalel. But the Canaanites dwelt among them and became tributaries.
So you see, we always had a thing for the Canaanites. There was just an attraction that we always had with them. Come on.
Neither did Asher drive out the inhabitants of Akko, nor the inhabitants of Zidon, nor of Ahalab, nor of Akzib, nor of Halba, nor of Afik, nor of Rahab. But the Asherites dwelt among the Canaanites, the inhabitants of the land, for they did not drive them out.
And what did y'all tell us to do? Drive them out. Come on.
Neither did Naphtali drive out the inhabitants of Bethshemesh, nor the inhabitants of Bethanath, but he dwelt among the Canaanites, the inhabitants of the land. Nevertheless, the inhabitants of Beth Shemesh and of Bethanath became tributaries unto them.
Come on.
And the Amorites forced the children of Dan into the mountains.
So not only did the children of Israel not remove the tributaries, but then the ones they tried to make tributaries started to push them down into the mountains. Come on.
For they would not suffer them to come down to the valley.
Come on.
But the Amorites would dwell in Mount Perez, in Hajalam, and in Shalabim. Yet the hand of the house of Joseph prevailed, so that they became tributaries. And the coast of the Amorites was from the going up to Akrabim, from the rock and upward.
So we see the children of Israel had very much a problem, because the essence of the Canaanites was a reflection of sin. And they pretty much did a lot of the same practices as Mizraim, the Egyptians. So Yah wanted to remove any essence or substance that would cause the children of Israel to fall back to their old ways. Why is that important to know? Because we are having our wilderness experience, and Yah's trying to get us to that promised land but he needs us to remove all the weapons that will cause us to fall to our old ways. It's not merely about the nations itself. It's what the nations start to provoke in us that causes us to fall. How do we know that? Because we can see Abraham never losing his morals amongst these nations. You see what I'm saying? He never lost his way amongst these nations. But Israel, every time they were surrounded by these influences, they constantly failed. Okay. You see? So let's go to Judges chapter 2. Temptations. That's a good one. Temptation. We're going to get to that too. Judges chapter 2, verse 1 through 5.
All right, it's the book of Judges, chapter 2, verse 1. And an angel of the Lord came up from Gilgal to Bochim and said, I made you to go up out of Egypt and have brought you into the land which I swear unto your fathers. And I said, I will never break my covenant with you. And ye shall make no league with the inhabitants of this land.
You shall make no what?
No league.
You shall make no league with the inhabitants of this land. Now, what I want to do is go to the Strongs, because I like to put it in proper perspective of what we read. So let's go to the Strongs. Let's see what league means. Covenant. What else?
Alliance.
League. You say you shall make no league with them.
No alliance. No agreement.
Let's see. That was verse 2. My bad, y'all. You shall make no league with them. So yes, you see that word, berit, which means covenant, which means you should not make a covenant with this house that shall lead you by the hand. This, because remember, all berits or all baits had a sign of who you belong to, and so I always tell y'all, you can tell where a person comes from by how they talk. You can even tell by how they got their hairstyles. You can tell by how they dress. You can tell by what they eat. And you can tell by their morals what type of culture or league they belong to. Just like you got an NBA league, you got a football league, you got a baseball league, you got a bowling league. All these leagues have sign of who they belong to, right? And so what we can really extract from this is y'all saying not only not make a covenant, but you shouldn't even be carrying their image and likeness. You see that? So it says, so go read verse 2 again.
Verse 2. And ye shall make no league with the inhabitants of this land. Ye shall throw down their altars. But ye have not obeyed my voice. Why have ye done this? Wherefore I also said, I will not drive them out from before you, but they shall be as thorns in your sides.
Right. So this word thorns, if you actually research what thorns mean, it means he who is the one who hunted, the hunter who hunts for the bait. So what he's saying is, whereas you were supposed to be the hunter, or you were supposed to be the one that the nations fear, you shall now fear those nations that you allow to dwell among you. You know what I'm saying? So let's go over what anybody know what a diagnosis is?
Isn't it like like when you officially announce what the problem that the person has is, you diagnose them after a scan or evaluation?
Okay, so an evaluation. What else?
Final say on the issue or the conclusion.
Comes to a conclusion. What else?
Sickness.
That's good. It is sickness. That's good. So it's an evaluation or a conclusion of a certain sickness. So let's look at the actual definition. So the actual definition is this. It's the identification of the nature of an illness or other problem by examination of symptoms. So today we're going to examine what are the actual symptoms of this illness called sin. And once we identify the symptoms of this disease called sin, believe it or not, it's your responsibility to drive it out. Because YAH cannot be in the midst of sin. Therefore, he cannot be in the midst of sickness. If y'all actually read Deuteronomy 28, what's the 3 main things that it's really dealing with? Or really 4 main things. Huh? Sickness is one. What else?
Oh,
family.
Resources. And what else?
Land.
Resources, health.
Yeah.
Stuff like that.
All, believe it or not, that's the sum of holistic health.
Yeah, literally, just a few things.
Right? It's dealing with, anytime you dealt with the curses, sickness came. Right? Your land was stripped. Your family was broken. And you lacked the resources. That is actual sickness. So, how do we identify the children of this sickness? You got to go to the curses. See, we don't have to sit here and have this strongman argument about who the children of Israel is, because there was a prophecy given on what the symptoms of these accursed or sick children will look like. You understand? Let's go to Deuteronomy 28. The book of Devarim, chapter 28. We're going to read verses 1 and 2.
All right, this is the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28, verse 1. And it shall come to pass, if thou shalt hearken diligently unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to observe and to do all his commandments.
To observe. Anybody know the Hebrew word for observe? Ooh-wee. That's the definition of it, but the actual word is shamar.
Oh, yeah.
So it means to guard. It means to protect. So what he's saying is to apply what you know, which hearken is shema. Shema is actually the root word of shema. I'm sorry, shema is the root word of shamar. So it means to listen and apply what I know by also protecting and doing what I instructed you to do. Come on.
And do all his commandments, which I command thee this day, that the Lord thy God will set thee on high above all the nations of the earth.
So what's the prerequisite of being, as they say, the numero uno, or the head chief in charge of the world? What's the prerequisite of being on high above all nations? Keeping his commandments. But does keeping mean just doing?
No.
What also does it mean? We just went over it. Protecting and guarding, being watchmen. See, this is not just about you doing them and you be like, oh, they do what they doing. Nah. You're supposed to also protect the name of your king. You're supposed to protect his gates. And his gates, meaning there's a house to those gates. So who is his house? His people. So it's your job to also, being a watchman, to protect his people.
Okay.
You see, and that protection does come by way of correction,
okay,
right? And chastisement and get them in order. Because YAH is not a man who's out of order.
okay.
And that's what we're going to go into when we look at the nations. What was the main God that they served? Right? That was the main God that they served. Does anybody know what it means? Does anybody know what Baal means? Master or owner. And when you actually break down the Hebrew letters in his name, it also means chaos. So anytime you serve the God of the Canaanites, you serve the owner of chaos. And we know chaos is in relationship with what? Darkness. So anytime you're not moving in the marvelous light, you're functioning in darkness. Therefore, by functioning in darkness, you are declaring who your master is. And the thing about chaos is it does not have order. It does not have structure. It's very abstract, believe it or not. It can go in and out of things, where versus light is very concrete and exposes all, even if it's a little bit of light. You see what I'm saying? So we got to identify when we go into a house, what's the culture of that house? What's the culture of the house of light versus the house of darkness? What's the culture of the house of righteousness versus the house of unrighteousness? What's the culture of the house of cleanliness versus the house of uncleanliness? And we will be able to then identify and diagnose those who we are amongst of which house they serve. You see what I'm saying? We got to be able to be the protectors of Yah's kingdom. And if y'all know anything about a warrior, he don't. What was the parable? When it's talking about the house, but there was also a parable before that talking about anybody who goes to war. What do he do? He goes to his council first and asks the council, "What's the likelihood we gonna win? And what is it? What's their weak points? What's their strong points? How do we identify the leader amongst that army?" And this is actually how we win the war against the kingdom of darkness versus the kingdom of light. We got to first be able to identify, look at the game plan of Yah, and then apply it.
Right.
Hallelujah.
If you don't mind.
Please.
So we talk about Shamar, Shema, to hearken and listen, and we talk about Shamar to protect or observe. But by doing that, by observing, by guarding or keeping, by us doing it, it's done to us.
Yep.
If that makes sense. In other words, you will know it's like a password. It's like if you know somebody said the Shabbat, somebody don't, if they don't guard the Shabbat, you already know that they're not a part of that kingdom.
Right.
So
Yep.
as long as you observe the kingdom and you observe the Shabbat or you Shamar,
Yep.
or you guarding that thing, then you should automatically know, okay, this is a heathen.
Mm-hmm.
This is a foreigner.
Yep.
So it should put you on alert automatically.
Yep.
Like they're not part of my father's, they're not a part of my kingdom.
Right.
Now I got to examine now, are they, and I have to observe,
Yes.
are they, if they're not a part of the kingdom, are they lost or wandering?
Right.
And then now it's up to me to guide them.
Yep.
But if they trample and they say, oh, that's not, you could do, that's not the Shabbat or anything, you automatically know now, okay, now you go into another mode.
Yep.
And now you say, okay, now my mindset has to be, okay, now I have to defend.
Right.
Right? I have to defend that law now by me standing on it. Because you understand now, we're talking to two different kingdoms. Okay, it's obviously you're not a part of my father's kingdom.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But if you observe it, it'll actually keep you. But if you say you dismiss it, you allow that Torah use that particular say Shabbat to be trampled on. Then you know that's a violent act against the kingdom you come from.
Exactly.
They're trampling on that. They're trampling on that precept.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
So now you say, okay, this is an enemy now.
Yes. Yes.
See, you can rightfully designate him as an enemy, him or her as an enemy. Say, hold on now, like you don't guard the Shabbat.
Yep.
Now I know. Okay. Now I have to diagnose. Right.
Yep.
Right?
You got to diagnose.
Now it's time to diagnose. Now. Are you lost?
Yeah.
Are you lost? If you lost, hey, I know the way. They'll say, teach me then.
Exactly.
Instruct me. You see what I'm saying?
Perfect example.
See, a lost person say instruct me.
Yes.
But someone that's an enemy will say, hey, I don't observe that. I don't believe that. Oh, okay. You're an enemy then. Right. You see, we make it hard. Oh, you're an enemy.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So you have to be able to diagnose, okay, is this person just lost? Or is this person an enemy? And if they're an enemy, then now, okay, now I take another position. Now it's time for me to honor.
Yep.
Right? This is a time to represent your kingdom.
Right.
Where the king you come from.
Okay.
Right? Or as Paul would say, what? Paul would say, hold fast to that which is good. You know what I'm saying?
And this is the point of the Kanuk. And this is why he said you must come to the kingdom as a child, because the word for Kanuk means to train, educate, or initiate into the way. And the way is to be a protector and defender of the throne. And that should really be our main focus right now, because the kingdom of darkness is rising up because they know it's at its end. So they're throwing all gadgets, bombs, and guns that they can to try to destroy those who are trying to choose the way.
Yes.
You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So we are the ones who bear the light of Yah in this earth to be a defender of his kingdom, to tell the people the kingdom is coming and the king is coming. It's now time for you to choose a side. So we shouldn't be in so much, and that was the whole point of the solemn feast. It's a serious appointed time. Believe it or not, we are actually living in the day of the solemn feast. Right. If we remove the lettering of itself and just say we are in the times of the appointed times. Yes. You see what I'm saying? And it is our duty to act like the 5 wise women and prepare his bride. Yes. You see what I'm saying? But you first got to know how to diagnose. And just like a doctor has to go through get his doctorate or go through school, we also have to go through the school of the kingdom. Yes. So there should be no breaks. The Chinese don't really take a break. They take 3 weeks off. They constantly educate each other. That's why they're one of the most powerful kingdoms on this earth. Because they're constantly understanding that it's a war going on. And they're constantly trying to find different ways to up one on America. We should be the same way when it comes to trying to get over on the kingdom of darkness. Because we know the kingdom of darkness has already waged war since the time of Adam. You ain't just waking up and it's just wartime. You've been in war even before you was born. You see what I'm saying? So you're supposed to come out that womb and get trained to go to war. Yes. But you got to first understand how to diagnose on who, like you said, who's an enemy and who's just lost. Yes. And that was really, believe it or not, that's why Mashiach said amongst the sinners. He was trying to pull on those who was just lost while acknowledging those who are an enemy in the midst of those who was lost. If you actually pay attention. So let's go to verse 2, Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 2.
Verse 2. Mm-hmm. And all these blessings shall come on thee and overtake thee.
Now start right there. Anybody know what the Hebrew word for blessings is? No. That's a Hebrew word. Barakah. Let's see what barakah means. And I'm doing this so we can put it in proper perspective, right? So barakah, it means blessing, source of blessing. It means also prosperity. But the deeper version, it means a treaty of peace. So now we can diagnose when we're functioning in the blessings versus curses, because what comes with the blessings is you have peace within you. You see what I'm saying? And why? Because we should be able to self-diagnose ourselves now. Am I living in a covenant of peace, or am I living in the covenant of chaos? Because if I'm living in the covenant of peace, I can identify that I am now in the covenant with YAH. And if I'm in a covenant with chaos, I can identify that I'm in a covenant with the God of the Canaanites. You see, I promise you, 1 + 1 is 2. YAH is not a man of confusion. He makes it very simple. It is only man who makes it hard. And we trying to get into these deep, dark sayings on how to reach the kingdom and how to astro project. When y'all made it simple, I'll call on you when I need you. The problem with us is we're just like the ancient ones of old as far as the heathen. The heathen is impatient in all ways. They need it now. That's why they got a commercial bar. I need it now. Because they're impatient. They think they should be able to self-will everything. Versus YAH, he's saying, wait on me, and I should call upon you. Right? And I'll make your enemies my footstool. Right? I'll make your enemies tremble at your feet. You don't have to do it on your own will, because the reality is you don't have the strength to do that on your own will. So anytime you're functioning in your self-will, everybody can attest, usually chaos follows it. Confusion follows it, and now you're stuck in a place of limbo, not trying to figure out where you're going. So when you come into obedience with YAH, you actually find peace. The next word he said was overtake thee. Let's actually see what this word means. It's nasag. Everybody say nasag.
Nasag.
And actually, nasag means to be secure. A lot of us come in this walk and still insecure. We still insecure because we haven't secured our place in YAH. And whatever situation we want to bring up, whether that be if you are part of the tribes of Israel, whether that be monogamy or polygyny, whether that be keeping the commandments. There's always a insecurity that follows because we're still trying to figure out we should be here. We still trying to figure out if we actually have a place in Yah, regardless of what he sees fit for us. Because the root of what we're dealing with is, do I really want to decide if I want to be here? Yah already called you. Yah already called you. And based upon your decision, we can be able to identify who's chosen. Hallelujah. So when we read it, it said, and all these blessings, or what we're going to say, all this peace shall come upon thee, and it shall secure thee, if thou will what?
If thou shalt hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God.
So what can we see that we find in Yah? When we keep his commandments, there's two things we can guarantee: peace and security. Everybody say it with me: peace and security. So now we got the diagnostics of if you're healthy or not. Because if you ain't got no peace within your life and you ain't got no security, we can now diagnose that you are now more on the side of what? Chaos. I hope y'all taking note of this, because this is real. I'm giving y'all this. If we was a doctor right now, I'm giving y'all how to diagnose sickness. Peace and security comes with those who are healthy. Sickness and confusion comes with those who are in chaos. Or I'll say insecurity. What you got? You got something to say out?
I was just gonna say, from what you were saying, there's a precept in Proverbs 3 when it said, "My son, forget not my law, but let thine heart keep my commandments. For length of days and long life and peace shall they add to thee."
Oh wait. So you telling me that in your obedience to Yah, not only do you get an abundance of help to live longer, but in them days that you also receive peace? Come on, man. Yah is not, he's making it simple for us. Keep his commandments and what? Live. Go down to verse 14.
All right, this is Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 14.
Come on.
And thou shalt not go aside from any of the words which I command thee this day, to the right hand or to the left, to go after other gods to serve them.
Come on.
But it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to observe to do all his commandments and his statutes, which I command thee this day, that all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee.
So let's go to curses. The Hebrew word for curses is kalala. Everybody say kalala.
Kalala.
Kalala. Kalala. One of the definitions is curse, vilification, execration. What was the other one there? My bad. Where is that? I wrote it down here, but if you go into the root etymology of it, the root etymology is kalal, which means to diminish substance. So to be a curse is to have your substance diminished. Mm-hmm. It also means lessen material things. So you telling me that also property can define a curse? Yes. Are you telling me even wealth or the lack of wealth thereof is a curse? Yes. Because when we look at the blessings, he said, when I bless you, all nations shall come to you for things. But the cursed or the diminishing of substance was you will be a want of all things. So now we can actually start to identify the cursed children of the book. So sometimes we like to just look at the base of it. Oh, we was in captivity, we was this and that. But the deeper root is the hood and the projects is your identification, the diagnosis of who the cursed children is.
This is when we get into the sign.
Yeah, the sign.
He's telling you these signs point to who the people are that's under the curse.
These signs shall follow you.
Yeah.
And you know the crazy thing about it, in every kingdom, you can name it right now. There is a ghetto, There's a hood and there's a project. And every time you find a ghetto, hood, and project, not only do you find black people, you find minority people, you find poor people, you find the highest rates of murder, you find the highest rates of sickness and depression, you find the highest rates of theft, mental issues, broken families, madness. Yeah, you shall grow up at noonday and not know where you're going. And you can actually look at the children in the hood. They tell you they be scared to leave school, not knowing if they're going to make it home. This is how you diagnose who is under the curses or not. And believe it or not, as a whole, people, we are cursed. But YAH moves in favor of those who are obedient, even amongst those cursed people, and start to show signs of blessings to the cursed people of what's possible.
I think it's powerful, but how the lens in which you're presenting it to see, because then you can take away from, because a lot of us will say, "Oh, I'm not cursed."
Right.
But bro, if you got high blood pressure, you ain't gonna say that. You know what I'm saying? You ain't gonna sit there and say, "Bro, you know what I'm saying? I got it." You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
I done took my high blood pressure and I'm not dealing with hypertension.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Say, man, you got your blood pressure off the scale, man.
Mm-hmm.
Man, I'm not hypertensive.
Right.
But that's what it means to have high blood pressure.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Like, bro, yeah, man, I'm about to, every time I eat sugar, man, I'm about to faint.
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Or I'm losing my sight. Yeah, bro, you probably got sugar diabetes. But we want to deny it.
We're straight up denied.
But y'all telling us these are the signs. This is the way you diagnose who you are.
Mm-hmm.
And that you're the people. That you're
Exactly.
saying.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And you comparing them, we'll sit there and cry, well, why white people get away with all this?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe guess what? They're not dealing with the curse.
Mm-hmm.
See what I'm saying? They're not dealing with it. You want equality.
Right.
In a situation where you're the sick one.
Right.
You're the sick people.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah. Just like people don't realize that actually STD is in the curse.
Yeah.
It's in the curse. Black people are the number one in every STD.
Yeah.
Every STD. And so we're able to, man, it's time to tell y'all. If you ain't sold on who you are, even if you try to look at the blessings, start looking at the curses. Mm-hmm. The curses will tell you who you are. See, we don't have to. They try to use the Jewish people. They try to use their story can't even equate to what will follow the children of Israel. Not one story they give you can equate to what is said in the book that the children of Israel will go through.
Okay. But when the world's been deceived to believe that Auschwitz is the totality of the curses.
Right.
A one-time thing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. 400-500 years of captivity. When have the Jewish ever been highest in sickness? When have they really ever been stripped of their land? Right. Did y'all ever see that it said we will make a patent with another nation to get our land back?
Nope.
But they got something called the transfer agreement.
Yep.
So if you start putting the piece together and look at the scriptures as a doctor, let me see the diagnosis of these people. No, they can't be it. No, y'all got too much prosperity.
Mm-hmm. I'll say this. The only sickness they really have is high skin cancer rates since they don't belong there.
That's it. Not just identifies your ass shouldn't even be there. You don't even belong there.
Too hot for you.
That ain't even your own type of environment. You wouldn't even create for that environment. See what I'm saying? So let's continue. So we got kalal to. So when we see curse, the root of it is to diminish one's substance. Mm-hmm. It's not just you just walk around with just one eye and you lit. Nah, it's to literally mean you lack substance. You lack proper substance to be holistically healthy. Mm-hmm. Come on.
We have verse 16.
Lamentation. No, we're gonna go to Lamentations chapter 1.
This is the book of Lamentations, chapter 1, verse 1.
Come on.
How doth the city sit solitary, that was full of people? How is she become as a widow? she that was great among the nations, and the princess among the provinces. How is she become tributary?
Right. So we see again going to Judges that we end up making the Canaanites tributaries. But y'all flip that thing, since you want to do that, I shall make you a tributary. Come on.
She weepeth sore in the night, and her tears are on her cheeks. Among all her lovers, she have none to comfort her.
So among all the people she done became a whore to, out of all the people she done committed, committed adultery with, ain't none of them there to comfort us. Ain't none of them there to actually comfort us, right? And we've lived this thing in our real life, investing our time in people, giving our bodies to people, just to realize when it's time for you to come to a lower state, that those same people you gave yourself up to was really not there for you in the first place. See, the scriptures provide security for us to even protect ourselves from people, even amongst our own, right? Because we know a friend is only one who's been through something with you, right? It's not one who just, oh, we black. Oh, you an Israelite. We good. Nah. Because the reality is it was the Israelites. It was some Israelites who kept the law, and there was some who didn't. And as a whole, because of the Son, we all went into captivity. So there's even enemies amongst our people. You see?
And it's because of the Son we actually remain.
Yep.
The righteous.
Yep. That's a fact. Come on.
All her friends have dwelt treacherously with her. They are become her enemies.
Now, who was the friends of Israel? What friends are they talking about?
The other nations.
The other nations. I want y'all to remember that. The other nations or the world, Israel became friends with. Come on.
Judah is gone into captivity because of affliction, and because of great servitude she dwelleth among the heathen. She findeth no rest. All her persecutors overtook her between the straits.
So if you ever wonder why it's actually hard for Israel to really keep the Shabbat, it's because we're in the land of no rest. We are in the land or the house of chaos. We are in the, what'd you say? Oh, we are in the house of confusion. We are in the house of darkness. And this house is called Babylon, the great whore. Come on.
The ways of Zion do mourn, because none come to the solemn feast.
Now let's replace that. None come to the appointed times. Right? And believe it or not, this is not just talking about the actual feast, but this is also talking about being in position. And you'll read further down to see what I'm talking about. But this is about Israel not being in proper position to protect Yah's kingdom. You understand? Come on.
All her gates are desolate.
All her what?
Her gates are desolate.
So that means it was not a protector of her gates. Come on.
Her priests sigh. Her virgins are afflicted, and she is in bitterness.
So now Israel has become a bitter woman. Come on.
Her adversaries are the chief. Her enemies prosper.
Because remember, the opposite of being in a covenant of peace is chaos. So it's her enemies who are part of that chaos now, because we have fallen off, who prosper. Believe that's the only way they prosper, because of our fall. They don't prosper because they got it. Right. They don't prosper because they're actually that good. They don't prosper because they're actually that smart. They prosper because the children of the Most High have fallen. Right. That's it. That's it. Go ahead.
This is why they have to constantly promote sin to us, because they know the longer we stay in sin,
yes,
the longer they stay in power.
Yes, good. Come on.
I'll start over at verse 5. Her adversaries are the chief. Her enemies prosper. For the Lord hath afflicted her for the multitude of her transgressions. Her children are gone into captivity before the enemy.
Come on.
And from the daughter of Zion, all her beauty is departed.
Now, believing that word is actually not there. The word for there is hadar, and that actually means honor and glory. So it says, and from the daughter of Zion, all her glory, or all her honor has departed. And what is that really saying? Because who gives that honor? The father or the master. So what it's saying is the glory of that master have departed that woman. And now she's become a bitter woman. Do we not see this amongst our people? See, believe it or not, the relationship between the black man and black that we keep seeing is really our relationship with YAH. It's a reflection of the division. That's a diagnosis. Because in every other nation, including the Jewish community, there's prosperity in their families. There's peace in their family. I'm not saying generational wealth.
So their glory is going from generation to generation.
Right.
Where you see one generation has to start over, start over from generation to generation.
Yeah.
That is a curse in of itself.
Yeah, dead.
Because there's no wealth.
There's no wealth.
Wealth is generation.
It is. Riches is temporal, it's for the time, but wealth is definitely generational.
Right.
And a lot of us don't have generational wealth. A lot of us don't. Come on.
Her princes are become like harts that find no pasture.
Y'all know what hearts is, right? Deers, right? So if you know anything about the nature of a heart, like it struggles to actually find a place to rest itself. Come on.
And they are gone without strength before the pursuer.
Come on.
Jerusalem, remember in the days of her affliction and of her miseries, all her pleasant things that she had in the days of old, when her people fell into the hand of the enemy and none did help her. The adversaries saw her and did mock at her Sabbaths.
Right. So did mock at her days of rest. Did mock at her solemn rest. Come on.
Jerusalem hath grievously sinned.
Right.
Therefore she is removed. All that honored her despise her, because they have seen her nakedness.
And how are you gonna see her nakedness? It's only two ways you can see a woman's nakedness. Either she willingly giving it up, or you raping her. And we know Israel didn't get raped.
Right.
Israel gave that thing up willingly.
Yep.
But nah, she got ravished, but she didn't want it no more. She thought it was gonna stop.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like you out there, like a woman out there kind of whoring herself.
Yep.
Then the old boy come through.
Yeah.
She said, no, I don't want to do it no more.
Yeah.
Looking at her certain way.
Right.
Not today. Not today.
She said, I said, what?
Uh-huh.
No, what are you talking about? I ain't gonna do it.
Right.
No, I'm done dealing with you. I'm not that.
Right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all said we would be ravished among the nations.
That's a fact.
You know what I'm saying?
That's a fact.
Because we're not under our cover.
Mm-hmm.
So women exposing themselves, going out to clubs and all that, you're exposing yourself to a possibly getting raped.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Putting yourself in a situation because you're not under a cover.
Yep.
I know the world would like to tell you and teach you.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Trying to convince a woman that, you know, no man has a right to look at you a certain way.
Right.
Or treat you a certain way.
Right.
You should be able to dress any way you want to, act any kind of way you want.
Right.
But because of that, if you're supposed to be modestly apparelled as a woman, then you taking down your first line of defense.
Yep.
You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And it's just like us as Israel. When we begin to break precepts and do certain things, then we're making ourselves susceptible to Satan.
Right.
And Satan is looking at it and say, oh, she's naked.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, she primed for being taken.
Right.
First, I'm gonna try to talk smooth with her. She don't give all right. She don't give in. And next thing I'm gonna do is what? Man, I'm taking this.
Mm-hmm.
Next thing you know, we crying out to y'all, man. Like, how did I? You know what I'm saying? How did I end up here?
Right.
Right. And then modesty it's not just your clothes too. It's like the position you put yourself in.
There you go. There you go.
That's
Yes.
what Israel kind of does.
Yes.
Like, they put themselves out there available. That's like oh, girls that dress modest, they still get raped. Like it's not even just the clothes. It's like the places you are.
How you present yourself.
You are, all of that.
All of it.
Putting yourself out there, like yeah, without a covering.
Yep. Okay.
And Yah's instructions are. That's why it are his instructions. Guard us as his children.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just like us as parents when we're trying to teach our children and give them our natural rules at home. It's there to guard you.
Right.
It's there to protect you. It's not to control you. It's to guard you. It's to protect you from what we know the dangers that are out there.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Okay.
Let's
keep going, huh? Yeah, she sighed.
Yea, she sigheth and turneth backward.
Come on.
Her filthiness is in her skirts.
Now, the word for that is actually garment. And what does a garment represent?
Covering.
Righteousness. Oh, you right. What else y'all say? Covering. But we see the verse before it says she was naked. So when it said her filthiness is in her, really her nakedness, because she ain't got no garment on. You see that? Or we can put it another way is based upon how she's dressing determines her honor or determines how one will approach her. So when we see her filthiness in her skirt, what it's saying is her treacherousness, her whoredom was in how she dressed. Because if I line up this one, she just want to hang out in Vegas. The other one, she actually works the Vegas streets, if y'all know what I mean. But they dress alike. How do you know which one's a whore and who's not?
You can't tell.
You can't tell. And therefore, you're going to approach both of them the same exact way. See, it's a mindset, but it's also how you present yourself. And Israel always was the one with their skirt up. Always. Always. Calling all the boys to the party. I was going to say her lovers gave her no, it didn't say lover. It said her lovers gave her no comfort. That was Israel. Young Khaleesi's. All of them. Come on, let's keep going.
Verse 9. Her filthiness is in her skirts.
Come on.
She remembereth not her last end. Therefore.
What would that mean? She remembered not her last end, huh? Right. She don't even remember the last thing she did. She just get up and get right back to it again. Right? Until she had enough, then she crying out for her master, and master deliver her, and she get all, oh yes, thank you so much. Let me get the house together for you. Yeah. Yeah. Uh-huh. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
How he look? Which one are you look?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, right. Right. Let's keep going on.
Therefore, she came down wonderfully. She had no comforter. O Lord, behold my affliction, for the enemy has magnified himself.
Come on.
The adversary has spread out his hand upon all her pleasant things. For she hath seen that the heathen entered into the sanctuary.
So he was that jail Negro that she was waiting on. She ain't want the book smart, the man with wisdom. She wanted that jailbird.
The bad boy.
As soon as he came out, just like Snoop Dogg and Baby Boy, I need all this. Feet smelling like corn chips, feet all up. I need all this. And we sitting there like, no, nigga, get your feet off. And what he do? He smacked her. Yep. Shut up. What you talking about?
Wait.
Baby.
Yeah, Baby Boy. Yeah.
Baby boy.
Yeah. That's how we was.
He even said, you're going to have my baby.
You're going to have my baby. Sit still. That's how Israel was. Yeah. The next is like, nah, sit still. Sit still. You've been picking up my calls, paying for my books. You know, made me a tributary. Nah, stay still. You good? You good? You wanted to make room for me? You wanted to make room for me, so I'm here now. I'm here now. Let's keep going.
But if you hear the cry, what God is giving us a likeness of or similitude of, it's a woman that was playing a harlot but don't want it no more.
Yes. Yes.
You know what I mean? Like, oh no, I don't want this no more. Like, nah, stop, get out of my house. And he basically said, no, I'm here now. Yep. Like, no, it don't stop because you're ready for it to stop.
Mm-hmm.
I'm here now. I belong. You belong to me.
Right, right.
So come on now. Stop playing games.
Exactly. So go to verse 10.
Verse 10. The adversary has spread out his hand upon all her pleasant things, for she hath seen that the heathen entered into her sanctuary.
Now, what does sanctuary represent? A home, a sacred space.
Yeah, went and followed her home.
Mm-hmm.
She was out there just in the club having fun. She don't realize she got a whole stalker.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Oh, I'm here now.
And that's exactly what Snoop Dogg did in Baby Boy. Boom, boom, boom. I'm home. She's like, no. You remember what you was doing? I'm here now. We good. We good. Come on.
Whom thou didst command that they should not enter into thy
And
congregation.
that's a perfect analogy. Think about it, because she got into it with Jody, right? And then when she got tired of the brother staying there, she like, Jody, just went to his mama, Jody, just come home. Just come home. We miss you. We miss. That's Israel. Abba, save us, please. Like, don't leave us out here in this rain. Yeah. He said, no, you good? Boom, close the door. I was like, yeah, no, you good? That's what you wanted. After you wanted to have fun, you wanted to pay for his books. You say you wanted the man in the house. You say you wanted the man that's gonna be there. Now you got it. Joey don't love me no more. He don't love me.
Now we crying, God don't love.
Yeah. And that's what we're gonna go to. Does God not consider us?
Right.
Does he not think upon us? You know what I'm saying? Let's go to James 4:4. Let's identify who was the friends that was being talked about. James 4:4.
This is the book of James, chapter 4, starting at verse 4.
Start at verse 3. I think that's perfect. Come on.
Verse 3. Ye ask and receive not, because ye ask amiss.
So we ask y'all, but we don't ask because we really want to be delivered and changed. We ask because we just getting tired of our situation. So we ask amiss. We don't really want to leave. We want to leave for the moment. Come on.
That ye,
James 4, chapter 3. I mean, James chapter 4, verse 3. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
it's not plain.
I took it up. I didn't try my. Come on.
That ye may consume it upon your lust.
Say it again.
That you may consume it upon your lust.
So you asking because what you really want to do is to be able to consume it upon your own lust, with no actual purpose of what you asked for. That's why I say you got to be careful what you ask for. Because if you ask me to deliver you, what you're really telling me is you ready to submit. You telling me that you ready to give up your rights of independency. Ooh-wee. You telling me that you ready to actually follow the way and not come in here with your own ideas and your own mythologies and your own philosophies. That you're ready to abide by the ordinances of this house. You see that? Come on. Verse 4.
Verse 4. Ye adulterers and adulteresses.
So you see who we identifying. So when he's talking about you ask and you receive not, that you may consume it upon your lust, he's dealing with the adulterers and the adulteresses. Because we are the ones who committed sin against Yah by fornicating or committing adultery with the other nations. Come on.
Know ye not that the friendship of the world is enmity with God?
So who was the friend that was referred to in Lamentations? The other nations, the world. So anytime you want to be in intimacy with the world, you are automatically an enemy of Yah. And I'm telling y'all young girls this too. Because we all got to come to a point where we got to choose. There is no options with Yah. You either choose one way or you choose the other. There is no, let me tangle a little bit with this and then tangle a little bit with that. He said he'd rather you all the way in the world or all the way with him. If you are lukewarm, he gonna spew you. You're worse than the ones who are in the world. You understand me? So y'all have to make a choice of who you want to serve. And the reality is we all believe that there's a higher power, right? We all agree that there's an Elohim, correct? So you know one day you're going to have to go meet that Elohim. See, this world going to pass. And we know that because we know our life is not forever. There is something after this. And you can live YOLO all you want. But there's a cost for that YOLO life. You only live once. That's right. So therefore, you got to make the best decision so you can have the quality of life and not quantity. I would rather have lived a righteous life and die young than live a wicked life and die old. I'm gonna say it again. I would rather have a righteous life and die young than have a long life and die in wickedness. Because I know that after this, there is something called eternity. And in that eternity, you're gonna have to deal with everything you did in this life. So ye adulterers and adulteresses, ye know not that the friendship of the world is an enemy with Yah. And whosoever therefore will be a friend of the world is an enemy to who? An enemy of Yah. Is there a gray area there?
Nope.
Is there you can dabble a little bit here and dabble a little bit there?
Nope.
You gotta choose what side. Just like this table. You gotta choose which side of the table you want to be on. Even if you put your finger right here, you still playing both sides of the game. And that don't work like that. Let's go to 1 Corinthians 5. Come on.
All right, this is the book of 1 Corinthians, chapter 5.
Come on.
It is reported commonly that there is fornication among you, and such fornication as is not so much as named among the Gentiles.
So he said, y'all commit so much fornication, and this fornication, the Gentiles haven't even touched this type of fornication. Because you know, when we get anything, we touch on anything, we exalt that thing. We make that thing huge. We make that thing powerful. So he said, your fornication is worse than the Gentiles. Come on.
That one should have his father's wife.
Come on.
And ye are puffed up.
And we know that because we got a testimony for that. We got was it Reuben?
Yeah.
Reuben. Reuben. He slept with his father's wife.
Yep.
Right? We even got Judah. He slept with the promised wife of his son.
Yep. Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yep.
We got Lot, who slept with both of his daughters. You see what I'm saying? So we commit worse things than the Gentiles. We are the inventors of sin, God dang it. For real. Come on.
Solomon and Gomorrah was black folk.
That's a fact.
Same.
Come on. Come on.
And ye are puffed up, and have not rather mourned, that he that have done this deed might be taken away from among you.
Come on.
For I verily, as absent in body, but present in spirit, have judged already, as though I were present, concerning him that have so done this deed.
So he came to them because not only did this person commit such a crime, but we was allowing this person to stay in the midst of us.
Yeah, he said there was, you guys allowing this, just allowing leaven in the camp.
Yes.
And then you were puffed up.
Yeah.
You're like, y'all just sitting there and letting this leaven in the camp. You don't even realize you sitting there keeping a feast, but you leaven.
Yeah.
You puffed up.
So we got to
like,
know
y'all be sitting around saying, I didn't do nothing.
Uh-huh.
Or, that ain't none of my business.
Right.
But you ain't saying that, so you just letting the leaven grow.
Yep.
The leaven spring. So next thing you know, you got a man in the midst that done slept with his father's wife. Next thing you know, y'all gonna be sitting up there having a whole goddamn homosexual orgy next.
Mm-hmm. And you see that in the Torah. It said he who have heard a thing and said nothing is just as one who committed it. And you actually take on the same sin as that person. See, that's another diagnostic of even a person. You may not have done it, but the diagnostic is you ain't saying nothing about it. Therefore, I must put you in the house of chaos because you cool with that. You straight with that. Therefore, I got to separate myself from you. Because that means if you allowing that, you allow anything to happen to me. And therefore, now you're what? Threaten my life. Threaten my life. We don't live in a culture of do as thou wilt and come as you are. We don't live in a culture where it said, where we sitting here not judging a matter and sitting here and say, only God can judge me. No, we can judge, but it said judge a righteous judgment. And not according to the appearance. Right? Let's keep on.
Verse 4.
Uh-huh.
In the name of our Lord, Yehoshua HaMashiach, when ye are gathered together in my spirit with the power of our Lord, Yehoshua HaMashiach, to deliver such in one unto Satan for the destruction of the flesh, that the spirit may be saved in the day of the Lord, Yehoshua.
Come on.
Your glorying is not good.
So we were sitting there glorifying that thing. Come on.
Know ye not that a little leaven leaveneth the whole lump?
So y'all saying even a little leaven, even a little sin can cause the whole body to be sick. Because the head is just one part of the body, right? But if the head is sick, the whole body is what? Sick. If the head is whole, the whole body is what? Whole. So even a little bit of sin can really ruin a whole tribe. And we see that in Judges. We see that in the book of Joshua. It was so serious. They thought Manasseh and them had put up an altar for another nation. They were about to go kill them. They're like, no, we just set this up as a landmark of our land. Like, oh, this day to represent the land we got. That's how I say, like, oh, like, yeah, we ain't about to go through that again. We got to get up on out of here. They doing that. But how many of us approach this walk like that? We allowing anything to be in our midst because we don't want to hurt our brother's feelings. We don't want to hurt our sister's feelings. But he said, do I offend you because I tell the truth? The truth is absolute. And yeah, it'll offend, but guess what? The other opposite of that is the truth heals too. See, and we always like to do that. I don't mean to offend anybody. I don't want to offend anybody. My apologies ahead of time. Nah, the truth is the truth. And so long as it's from a pure place, which is the word, then you got to let the truth set in that person. You can't always be sorry for telling the truth. You can't always be sorry or feel bad for telling somebody the absolute truth according to Yah's word. Let it stand, because the truth, although it hurt, and if you know how healing is, you got to go through something called a healing crisis. And that healing crisis actually hurts, because whatever you did to the body, you actually have to go through them symptoms so that you can actually be healed. See, it's not, see, the world believes in suppressive therapy. They suppress everything, like to cover and mask everything. But true healing comes with something called a healing crisis, by going through these symptoms so that you can actually eliminate it out the body. So you have to go through a hard time, or what we're going to call refinement, so that you can truly and thoroughly be processed by Yah and be whole in Yah. A lot of black people on a natural level and a spiritual level don't want to go through that spiritual healing crisis with Yah. We don't. We don't.
It's kind of like, I don't know if you ever use African black soap.
Yeah.
People think it makes you break out.
Yeah.
You gotta keep consistently using it until that fades away.
Exactly.
So I think sometimes we keep backtracking because certain things are coming out again.
Mm-hmm.
But it's actually like it has to come out. It's gonna show on the surface.
It has to. Yeah.
So that's normal.
Just like the light, you're gonna struggle in your sin when you come into this light. It has to be exposed. So that's why I say there's three things you can't lie to: yourself, God, and your body. It's going to show. It's going to show. And that's just like sin. At some point, you can hide it for years, but at some point, that thing gonna spew out your mouth, or you're gonna really start doing what you've been trying to bury. Because it only can be buried for so long. It's not what goes in a man, it's what comes out. So we gotta go through that spiritual healing crisis with Yah. First, we got to get diagnosed to see what's in us still in the word. And then we got to go through the proper steps of healing. So by the time we're done with our 40 days and 40 nights, that's a whole nother conversation. Once we go through those 40 days and 40 nights, at the end, we're not only on mission, but we in position. Let's keep going.
Verse 7.
Mm-hmm.
Purge out, therefore, the old leaven.
Come on.
That ye may be a new lump, as ye were unleavened. For even Mashiach, our Passover, is sacrificed for us.
Come on.
Therefore, let us keep the feast, not with the old leaven.
Replace that with appointed times.
Keep the appointed times.
Yeah.
Therefore, let us keep the appointed times, not with the old leaven.
So let us be in position, not carrying our old ways. Come on.
Neither with the leaven of malice and wickedness.
So now we can identify another diagnostic. Those who are still in the old way or the old chaos and wickedness with them. So what can we say so far? Those who are part of chaos are in covenant with chaos. They carry insecurity with them. They don't have peace in their life. They always in malice, and they carry wickedness with them. I'm giving y'all signs of sickness. This is not a hard diagnostic, believe it or not. Those who are healed carry peace. right? They carry security. They carry love. And they carry camaraderie and unity of the people. Come on.
But with the unleavened bread of sincerity and truth.
Now we got another diagnosis of you here. Do you carry sincerity and do you carry the truth? Come on.
I wrote unto you in an epistle not accompany with fornicators.
With what?
With fornicators.
Come on.
Yet not altogether with the fornicators of this world.
So it's not just dealing with natural fornicators, but it's those who like to fornicate with the world. Those who like to dibble and dabble with the world. You got something?
Yeah.
So we had malice, wickedness, insecurity, and what we say? Chaos. Come on.
Or with the covetous, or extortioners, or with idolaters, for then must ye needs go out of the world. But now I have written unto you not to keep company, if any man that is called a brother be a fornicator, or covetous, or an idolater, or a railer.
Or a what?
A railer.
A railer. You know what a railer is? One who likes to argue all the time. Right? There go another diagnostic. One who always liked to argue, getting in arguments all the time. They said one who was covetousness, always want to have something that somebody else got. Right? Idolaters, playing with these different spiritual systems that we see going on in the world today. And instead of drunkard, constantly drunk. And I don't mean literal sometimes. I mean you just drunk with different doctrines, drunk with the world. Come on.
Or an extortioner.
So you're using the truth to extort y'all's people. Huh? You want to overtax somebody, overcharge somebody. Or you got people who will use the Bible to get in the woman's pants. Huh? You extorting women from that. Or you extorting brothers to come serve you and trying to use the Messiah and Elohim as a way to draw them in, but really you want them to serve you and not them. Those are I'm giving y'all different versions of these things or these symptoms that you can identify with. Come on.
With such, and one know not to eat.
So we're not even supposed to eat or break bread with these type of people. Because anytime you breaking bread, if y'all understand the intricacies of food, anytime somebody came, we had a feast. We celebrated and broke bread. I mean, we're welcoming them into our space. So anytime you breaking bread and eating, you're welcoming them into your space. Y'all eating off the same table, mean y'all in agreement. Right? Come on. And that's why and that's just a simple note. That's why you shouldn't really go to your family house during holidays. Because you know what they into on that day. But because you having a hard time with the family thing, you willing to compromise and be in the midst of them and say, well, I ain't celebrating. I'm just seeing family eating food. Nah. That's you in agreement with that. Because if you're going to go to the outside, you need to take that tree down. Oh, no, if you really, let's sit down and open the scripture. Now, if you're going for that reason, that's a whole other thing. Because even Christ said amongst the sinners and broke bread with them in that way. But the reality is a lot of us ain't going in our family house doing that. Some of us ain't that bold. Yeah, we ain't got that Paul spirit to just go ahead and just start tearing the altars down.
We got the whole vibe.
Why can't we?
I'm just saying, well, I can't go. I mean, you got to approach, my situation. I will believe you have to approach that in a more wider situation.
Yeah, I told you to.
Yeah, what if y'all said do it? See, we got to stop with these are different times type thing. We got to stop.
I'm not saying that. No, I'm not saying that.
You definitely just say that.
No, I'm just saying.
You see, that's what they do. We can't do what they do now.
No, I'm just saying, if he just going, okay, I'm just going to tell that. Yeah, I didn't tell you that. Why you want to do that?
That's right, but what if he tell you this time? Are you different than them now?
Nah, now if y'all said it, then that's a different story.
Okay, gang. Y'all did say tell them altars down though. Come on, he said tear the images and groves.
Abraham did it. He tore up his daddy.
Come on.
What he said
Abraham did it. He tore
that thing down.
He was a peaceful man too.
Yeah.
He made his father.
Tore that thing down. We ain't believe it or not, we may be more corrupt than them, But we ain't no different than them.
His daddy's ready to kill him behind that.
Yeah.
Yeah, he turned him into Nimrod.
And Abraham was ready for that smoke too. He was laugh like, you over here bending the knee, something you making. You make it with your own hands. Like, it don't make no sense. Yeah. You don't put the head of this head and fell off this altar. You gonna put it on this one and then you start bowing down to it. Yeah.
You gotta put your God on the counter.
Yeah. Right. Your God over here holding your candle right now.
You can knock your God over.
Right. God to get up. Tell him get up.
Yeah.
Come on.
Verse 12.
Uh-huh.
For what have I to do to judge them also that are without?
Right.
Do not ye judge them that are within?
Uh-huh.
But them that are without God, judge it.
So what Paul really dealing with, because sometimes Israel, and I can really say this, that we be so focused on those who are without Elohim that we really need to be cleaning the house inside. So he like, Paul, like, what I got to do with them? They outside. They ain't, truth be told, they ain't really threatening our kingdom right now. It's you Negroes in. It's you Judases right now within the house that I got to deal with. Huh? That's what we need to deal with. So he's like, y'all need to be dealing with the ones inside. Your only thing of outside is to teach the gospel and the good news. That's on y'all to judge them. Your judgment should be starting in the house of Israel first. And a lot of Israel is scared to really do that for real. Because I'm gonna be honest with you, I'm gonna tell you why a lot of Israel is scared to do it. Because a lot of Israel still with a lot of leaven. And they don't want to have to sit there and point it out with that big old beam in their eye. Big swole up beam.
They think it's about sticking
Yeah.
together, taking up for each other all the time.
Yeah. All right, you got a whole pop rock in your eye talking about he's sinning.
Get through the door.
Yeah, get through the door. Got a big old grape on your eye talking about he's sinning. Yeah, he actually sat with a brother while you sitting and think about it. It's the same thing, according to our master. Yeah, you shouldn't even be thinking about looking at another man's wife. But because he did the act, he worse than you. Nah, y'all the same. Y'all the same. Y'all the same. So let's go to Ezekiel chapter 18. Y'all getting it so far? Y'all getting y'all diagnostic sheet down?
Yeah. Ezekiel what? 13.
Ezekiel chapter 18, starting at verse 19.
All right, this is the book of Ezekiel, chapter 18, verse 19.
Come on.
Yet say yea. Why? Doeth not the Son bear the iniquity of the Father? When the Son have done that which is lawful and right, and have kept all my statutes, and have done them, he shall surely live.
Come on.
The soul that sinneth, it shall die.
Mm-hmm.
The Son shall not bear the iniquity of the Father, neither shall the Father bear the iniquity of the Son.
Come on.
The righteousness of the righteous shall be upon him, and the wickedness of the wicked shall be upon him.
Come on.
But if the wicked will turn from all his sins that he has committed, and keep all my statutes, and do that which is lawful and right, he shall surely live.
So do we have the power to break generational curses?
Okay.
And we always talking about we keep doing starting over. We starting over because we taking the same habits of our fathers. It ain't that you just got this deep bloodline sickness. It's that you keep carrying the same habits as your fathers. You keep carrying the same habits as your mothers. You keep carrying the same habits as your natural father and mother and your grandparents. That is why you are still stuck in sin. It ain't like it's just on you. You got to deal with it, even though you live in righteousness. The word telling you, if you living in righteousness, you shall live. So you can't keep blaming your father and your mother when y'all gave you a way to break the chain and yoke of your enemies. We got to stop blaming it was our ancestors. You are your ancestors doing the same damn thing. That's it. You're doing the same thing they doing. You serving the same ancient gods that they were serving. They just got new names in this time. That's it. Come on.
he shall not die.
Come on.
All his transgressions that he hath committed, they shall not be mentioned unto him.
Come on.
In his righteousness that he hath done, he shall live.
Come on.
Have I any pleasure at all that the wicked should die, saith the Lord God, and not that he should return from his ways and live? But when the righteous turneth away from his righteousness and committeth iniquity, and doeth according to all the abominations that the wicked man doeth, shall he live? All his righteousness that he hath done shall not be mentioned.
What he said, and y'all not a respected person. Just because you was living righteous for 10 years, well, that one day you sin, it's a wrap, my boy. It's time to take that whooping now. Yeah, it don't matter if you've been sinning. If he sinned for 20 years and now he turned his life over, and within that day, the process of healing and security start to come. Like, it don't matter. Y'all not a respected person. For those who be trying to talk about the Bible, the God of the Bible is evil. Why would he kill? What about the part where he talked about the righteous and they shall live and heal? See, people don't want to deal with that part. See, our Elohim is an Elohim of balance. He's not an Elohim as do as thou wilt. Just do what you want. I love you anyway. Nah, that's not even a good parent to me. That's not even a good creator to me. You gonna let me just do anything and not correct me? Nah, no. That means you willing to allow me to die. You willing to allow me to suffer and not do nothing about it. Come on.
In his trespass that he have trespassed, and in his sin that he have sinned, in them shall he die.
Come on.
Yet ye say, the way of the Lord is not equal. Hear now, O house of Israel, is not my way equal? Are not your ways unequal?
Come on.
When a righteous man turneth away from his righteousness and committeth iniquity and dieth in them, for his iniquity that he have done shall he die.
Come on.
Again, when the wicked man turneth away from his wickedness that he hath committed and doeth that which is lawful and right, he shall his soul be saved alive.
Come on.
Because he considereth and turneth away from all his transgressions that he hath committed, he shall surely live. He shall not die.
Come on.
Yet saith the house of Israel, the way of the Lord is not equal. O house of Israel, are not my ways equal?
Right. So we sitting there complaining when he already gave us just weights and balances on how his instructions work. He don't have a respected person. There's no holes in his law. The only holes is in us trying to finesse our way and become as a thief in the night in his house. And that just don't work like that. I just like you ever see House Party and kid try to sneak out. And then he came in his bedroom at the end of the movie. His father's in there. So he turned the light on and had that belt waiting for him. Wow, you ain't about to just come in here like you ain't just do what I didn't tell you not to do. That's how y'all work. No, you ain't about to just come. If you think you about to go sin and come back with no type of chastisement, it's over with. Yeah, you might want to hang it up.
This walk, you gonna getting that something. You gonna need this. You gonna need a little bit of something back.
Yeah. And the ill part Israel has is it rains on the righteous and the unrighteous alike. So you're gonna get chastisement anyway because everything has a process that you got to go through. Come on.
And not your ways unequal. Therefore, I will judge you, O house of Israel, every one according to his ways, saith the Lord God. Repent and turn yourselves from all your transgressions, so iniquity shall not be your ruin.
Come on.
Cast away from you all your transgressions, whereby ye have transgressed, and make you a new heart and a new spirit. For why will ye die, O house of Israel?
Come on.
For I have no pleasure in the death of him that died.
So Yah does not, he don't want nobody to die. It tells you that also wisdom of Solomon too. He's not interested in you dying. He wants you to live. He wants you to have a fulfilled and happy life. It's just within the bounds of his instructions. But the problem with Israel, even to this day, is we want to live lawless with no rules or bounds. But the reality is when it comes down to us, we need rules because we will literally jump off a cliff thinking we can really fly. We actually think that we can break the laws of Yah and break the laws of order when it don't work like that. Let's go to 2 Timothy 2. We just got a couple more passages. We out of here. We're going to start at verse 19. 2 Timothy chapter 2, Starting at verse 19.
All right, verse 19. Nevertheless, the foundation of God standeth sure, having this seal.
Now remember, what Hebrew letter represents seal, sign, or mark? No.
My bad.
You said that confidently.
I did say that.
Yeah, that was good though.
You ate that part.
What Hebrew letter represents seal, sign, or mark? Yes, Tav. Tav. Right? So now what's the foundation of Elohim? What's the chief cornerstone of Elohim? Or who's the chief cornerstone? Which is his what? His word. So nevertheless, the word of Yah, which is the foundation, standeth for sure. Having this sign. He made that look again.
Did it again? I did it just like
that. Was it that confident? Did you? So it says, nevertheless, the word of Yah, the foundation of Elohim, standeth sure, having this sign, Yahweh knoweth them that are his. So you see, Yahweh gives us certain credentials that one must carry to identify that they're part of his house, including the sign, seal, or mark. Y'all crazy. So there's a certain thing that people carry. So just like a culture, you're able to identify what culture without somebody speaking, who they belong to, what they believe in, and what they stand on. And once they talk, it is actually the seal of truly what they stand on. That's why I said in 1 Peter 4, if any man speak, let him speak what? The oracles. So if anybody who talks to us should be able to identify in our speech that we stand on Yah's word. You see that? A lot of us, and I know a lot of us like to try to use Paul as a justification, but we want to conform to those around us to get them comfortable with us. We want to blend in with them, and we'll start to speak like them. We'll start to say things that we know we shouldn't be saying just to get them comfortable, knowing dang well we trying to figure out how we slip the word in. But it don't work. Your conversation should not even be corrupt anymore. It should be chaste conversation. So therefore, we now can identify those of Yah by even how they speak. Hallelujah. And believe it or not, even Christians. Even Christians have that. Well, we can be like, you can hear somebody like, yeah, I stand on this, I believe. Oh, okay, I could tell that he really or she really takes Yah serious. Even if they may, we can tweak some things, but I could tell they really have a heart for God. They got a conviction for Yah. I can work with that. You know what I'm saying? I could work with that. And you got the hypocritical Christians. It's like you got the hypocritical Hebrews. Sounds good. You got the long phylacteries on. But the reality, I could tell by your speech and your mindset that you're not really for Yah. How you going? We got to be able to diagnose one another and say, all right, you sick, brother. I see some illness in you. Yeah. Are you talking? Yeah, brother. You sick. You with the kingdom of chaos right now. I ain't trying to even be yoked to the kingdom of chaos. We gotta depart from right now till you heal. Come on.
Verse 20.
Uh-huh.
But in a great house there are not only vessels of gold and of silver,
right,
but also of wood and of earth.
Come on.
And some to honor and some to dishonor.
So in this world we live in, there are people who are made to be vessels of honor, and there are people who are made to be vessels of dishonor. And the whole point of being a vessel of dishonor is to prove those who are supposed to be vessels of honor. Come on. And I'm going to show you all that when we go back to Judges. Come on.
And if a man therefore purge himself from these, he shall be a vessel of unto honor.
Purge himself of what? The things of the world. Come on.
Sanctified. And
set apart. Come on.
And meet for the master's use.
Come on.
And prepared unto every good work.
So once Yah sees that you have been self-diagnosed and that you have gone through your healing crisis and been healed, at that appointed time now you're able to be used. Some of us be trying to be used before being healed. And then we corrupt Yah's word by speaking this pure word, but having a corrupt mind. You can't live like that. You're not supposed, and you'll get judged hard for that.
Amen.
You being corrupt, your mindset being corrupt by you, and you using Yah's word in the same sense. You can't do that. You can't mix evil for good, nor righteousness with unrighteousness, nor clean with unclean. Come on.
Flee also youthful lust.
Oh wait, flee also useful lust. And a lot of us, the reality is, a lot of us come in this walk. You know, I came in this walk when I was 24 years old. I'm 32 now. The reality is, when we around, especially in the 20s, in your early 30s, and you come into this walk and you so-called feel restricted, you get to say, I didn't get to do what I wanted. I wish I would have been able to do that before I came in this walk. Well, I wish I would have been able to do that. But the reality is, you were called at that point in time. Therefore, you have to leave all those things that you thought was a benefit to you, you think that you should have did. It's over with. It's done. And you're supposed to flee from that youthful lust. Because a lot of times that youthful lust to get you into foolishness. Come on.
But follow righteousness, faith, charity, peace with them that call on the Lord out of a pure heart.
Hallelujah. Let's go to Judges chapter 2. We'll start at verse 7. The last one, y'all can write this down. I ain't gonna read it because it is long. It's getting late, but after Judges, I was gonna go to 2 Kings chapter 23, read that verse 1 through 30. Pretty much that's dealing with once they came into the knowledge of, or the king came into the knowledge of what he's supposed to do, he started to clean shop at every wicked person that was in the midst of them, even through the temple. So let's go to Judges chapter 2.
All right, this is Judges chapter 2, verse 7.
Come on.
And the men pursued after them the way to Jordan.
No, Judges chapter 2, verse 7.
Oh, Joshua, sorry. All right, Judges chapter 2, starting at verse 7. And the people served the Lord all the days of Joshua, and all the days of the elders that outlived Joshua, who had seen all the great works of the Lord that he did for Israel.
Come on.
And Joshua, the son of Nun, the servant of the Lord, died, being 110 years old. And they buried him in the border of his inheritance in Timnath-Heres, in the mount of Ephraim, on the north side of the hill Gosh. And also all that generation were gathered onto their fathers, and there arose another generation after them, which knew not the Lord, nor yet the works which he had done for Israel.
This generation that rose, they knew pretty much they wasn't in that intimate space with Yah, nor knew the works that this Elohim did for their fathers and ancestors. Come on.
And the children of Israel did evil in the sight of the Lord, and served Baalim.
Now remember, that name means the owner or master of chaos. So they served the house of chaos. Come on.
And they forsook the Lord God of their fathers, which brought them out of the land of Egypt, and followed other gods, of the gods of the people that were round about them.
So they followed the Elohims of those that was circumference around them, which remember we read in Judges 1, which was the Canaanites, the Amorites, Asherites, right? Which they did not remove, which was the commandment they were supposed to do, right?
Okay.
And why is this important? Because we can really relate to this, believe it or not. We can relate to this in many different ways. The reality is, even for us, especially those who will have children, we are surrounded by our enemies and their influences.
Yes.
We are surrounded by our enemies in so many different ways, and every which way you turn, there's an influence there, which shows you that it's our job to drive that influence out.
Yeah, man.
Which means it's our job to be set apart and separate from that influence. And the best way you can start is in your own home, right? The best way you can start is in your own home. Come on.
And bowed themselves unto them.
Come on.
And provoked the Lord to anger.
Come on.
And they forsook the Lord, and served Baal and Asherah.
Come on.
And the anger of the Lord was hot against Israel.
Come on.
And he delivered them into the hands of the spoilers that spoiled them. And he sold them into the hands of their enemies round about, so that they could not any longer stand before their enemies. Whithersoever they went out, The hand of the Lord was against them for evil.
So it don't matter where they went. When people talk about fleeing in Egypt, the curse is gonna follow you there. Talking about fleeing in Europe, the curse is gonna follow you there. Talking about fleeing in South America, the curse is gonna follow you there. Anybody who is not in obedience and by way of the bloodline, following the covenant that was made with our fathers, the curse will follow you. And you will find yourself constantly in a fight or battle trying to find some type of peace because you have not broken the yoke of chaos or the yoke of confusion around your neck due to the sins of your fathers. No matter where you go, it's going to follow you, period. Come on. That's why you see this happening in Africa right now. And it's crazy because all of these strange events of people getting uprooted, land getting taken away is actually following Hebrews that know they're Hebrews. Which shows you a type of diagnostic where you should diagnose them, right? Come on.
As the Lord have said, and as the Lord have sworn unto them, and they are greatly distressed. Nevertheless, the Lord raised up judges, which delivered them out of the hand of those that spoiled them. And yet they would not hearken unto their judges, but they went a-whoring after other gods, and bowed themselves unto them.
So Yah done sent us judges. He done sent us prophets. Sure, he done sent us a Mashiach, the Messiah. And we still find ourselves today. And I'm not talking about those, and we're not dealing with them no more. Those who are out in the world, we're not dealing. We're talking about people in the walk. We still find those in the walk still serving other Elohim, still choosing the world over Yah's kingdom, still want to mix and mingle amongst the heathen and not cleanse themselves of the world. To this day, we got to start looking in-house and stop looking outside the house. And when I say house, I'm talking about your family members, your friends you grew up with. You shouldn't even be looking at them as you put the measuring stick on. They ain't keeping the law. We know that already. You should be looking at those inside the house. Are they keeping the law? Because if they ain't keeping the law, guess what? That's judgment on your behind too. That's judgment on you. We are family that's connected. Once we said we came into this walk and understood we have actually made ourselves yoked to those who believe the same thing. Come on.
They turned quickly out of the way which their fathers walked in, obeying the commandments of the Lord, but they did not so. And when the Lord raised them up judges, then the Lord was with the judge and delivered them out of the hand of their enemies all the days of the judge. For it repented the Lord because of their groanings, by reason of them that oppressed them and vexed them.
Y'all got a heart? Like, oh, man. All right, you go. You know, we all deal with that. When you chastise your child, when you realize, all right, they had enough. That crying is getting to them. We all have that feeling for our children. That's exactly how y'all felt towards us. Like, all right, enough is enough. It's hurting me to hear them crying. Come on.
And it came to pass when the judge was dead, that they returned and corrupted themselves more than their fathers.
Come on.
And following other gods to serve them and to bow down unto them. They cease not from their own doings, nor from their stubborn way. And the anger of the Lord was hot against Israel. And he said, because that this people have transgressed my covenant, which I commanded their fathers, and have not hearkened unto my voice, I also will not henceforth drive out any from before them of the nations which Joshua left when he died.
Come on.
That through them I may prove Israel.
That through who?
Through the other nations.
So the other nations used for what?
Proving us.
So why are we banging on Esau? Right. Why are we banging on Ishmaelites or the white man? The reality is, not only are they a reflection of our sins, but they are only and solely used to prove our obedience to Yah. Them having a hard foot on our neck should actually drive us to be more obedient to Yah and drive out the sin. But we're so caught up in the flesh, like right here. As soon as the flesh or the one they magnified as a judge died, they went right back to their father. And that's what we see today. Whether you're talking about Malcolm X, They follow him, but now you see it's a whole nother different type of movement for the Muslims. Martin Luther King, whole nother movement now. Fred Hampton, ain't even the same type of Black Panther Party no more. You see what I'm saying? Who else? Khalid Muhammad, right? Marcus Garvey. He had a whole nother movement. Now that movement not even following the original movement. So you see that none of these things, every time the head of something died, the movement changed. The direction changed. Same with us today. The apostles went out and preached forth the good news and the gospel. Now you got those even in the Messiah preaching confusion. Because we always were in need of a fleshly king, a fleshly leader, a fleshly example. When we had the king there the whole entire time. And he left his instructions for us to follow. We don't have to guess nothing. It's there. So even in that, we can diagnose and see, all right, who's truly following the king? Because if they're doing their own thing outside of his will, they are in the midst of self-will and chaos. 23.
Therefore, the Lord left those nations without driving them out hastily. Neither delivered he them into the hand of Joshua.
Right. So let's see. Do I want to read a little bit of this, man? Let me see real quick. Let's read a little bit. Let's go to 2 Kings 23. We're gonna read just 2 through we're just gonna read 2 through 12. I'm gonna read the whole chapter, but that's just too much. So 2 through 12. 2 Kings chapter 23, starting at verse 2.
All right. Verse 2. And the king went up into the house of the Lord, and all the men of Judah, and all the inhabitants of Jerusalem with him, and the priests and the prophets, and all the people, both small and great. And he read in their ears all the words of the book of the covenant, which was found in the house of the Lord.
Mm-hmm.
And the king stood by a pillar and made a covenant before the Lord to walk after the Lord and to keep his commandments and his testimonies and his statutes with all their heart and all their soul, to perform the words of this covenant that were written in this book.
So once we come and read the diagnostic sheet of the word, we then should come into a place of knowing that we must be healed from the things of this world. And really, we're supposed to make that covenant with Yah that we're going to keep all his word. And at any time, even when you do go into the ancient times of people being a knight, you had to enter in by a covenant, and the blood covenant at that, to say that you would dedicate your life to that king. You understand? And that's exactly how we're supposed to come into this walk, dedicating our temples to Yah's kingdom, right? And this is exactly what we see the king doing. Come on.
And the king commanded Hilkiah, the high priest, and the priests of the second order, and the keepers of the door, to bring forth out of the temple of the Lord all the vessels that were made for Baal.
So you see King Josiah now realizing, all right, we now, since I read the instructions, I read the diagnostics, we got to remove anything that's of the entity of the other nations. Come on. The disease, yep. Come on.
And for the grove, and for all the host of heaven.
Right, so they ain't just have an altar of vessels for the god of the Canaanites. They had an altar even for the heavenly hosts. So they were sun worshiping, moon worshiping, star worshiping. Come on.
And he burned them without Jerusalem in the fields of Kidron.
So you see people today having a whole full moon ceremony. They're having a whole, what they call them, full moon, they call them
seances and witchcraft.
What'd you say? Yeah, moonlight, taking full moon baths. Full moon baths with, no, they do have it. Full moon crystals and all that. Taking moon baths and everything. Doing a whole ritual for the moon. And I ain't just talking about all those in the world. We see people in Israel doing this. Come on.
And carried the ashes of them onto Bethel. And he put down the
So
idolaters.
they even removed the ashes that we burnt to these Elohim. Come on.
And he put down the idolatrous priests,
Come on.
whom the kings of Judah had ordained to burn incense in the high places in the cities of Judah.
Come on. Yeah. We got some. Come on.
And in the places round about Jerusalem. Them also that burn incense unto Baal.
They burning the what?
Incense.
And then to who?
And to the sun.
So they was burning incense to the sun. Come on.
And to the moon. And to the planet.
Oh, Mercury is in retrograde.
Right.
We got Israel talking like this. I don't even know, bro. But I don't see how they have it. They see this. They ain't got no damn telescope. But we got Israel talking like this, getting into horoscopes and all these type of things. These are signs of those who are part of the kingdom of chaos. Yeah, in Israel. And you got to mark them for what they are. Shalom.
The only thing they get right is that shalom.
That's all they got.
Hey.
Come on, man.
And to all the hosts of heaven. And he brought out the grove from the house of the Lord without Jerusalem onto the brook of Kidron, and burned it at the brook Kidron, and stamped it small to powder, and cast the powder thereof upon the graves of the children of the people.
Still need to know how they made.
Jeez.
How they were able to make idols of gold and silver and make them go around with powder.
Right.
Bro.
You had to beat that thing.
They
Damn.
were beating it down.
You're like, we're gonna make sure not even the ash of this thing stand. Some of us we'll still let the little Christmas lights be there. Oh, I rule the tree, but the light, it's just lights. It's just like you forgot you really originally put them up for Christmas though.
Star on
Yeah.
the top. Twinkle, twinkle.
I'm gonna just get this food from the 4th of July. You know, I eat it tomorrow. I ain't gonna eat it on this day. I eat it tomorrow. Like it made a difference though. That food was dedicated to that day. So therefore, it's for that day. I'm telling you, Israel make all type of excuses. I'm just there. I ain't celebrate. I'm just for family, man. I'm just hungry.
I got family in town. We can see.
Yeah, it's a day off. I ain't celebrating all this day off. But then I come in the house, you saying Happy 4th of July. It's a day off. What you talking about? Oh, I just like the fireworks. Nah. Come on. Exactly. Come on.
And he brake down the houses of the Sodomites.
Come on.
That were by the house of the Lord.
So we sitting here building houses for the Sodomites next to y'all's house. Some of us will let Sodomites in our house because they family.
Yeah.
Over with. Over with. Over with. Come on. Come on.
I think you trying to say something?
Nah.
That were by the house of the Lord, where the women wove hangings for the grove. And he brought all the priests out of the cities of Judah and defiled the high places where the priests had burned incense from Geba to Beersheba, and break down the high places of the gates that were in the entering in of the gate of Joshua, the governor of the city, which were on a men's left hand at the gate of the city.
Come on.
Nevertheless, the priests of the high places came not up to the altar of the Lord in Jerusalem, but they did eat of the unleavened bread among their brethren.
Go. Read verse 9 again. Come on.
Nevertheless, the priests of the high places came not up to the altar of the Lord in Jerusalem, but they did eat of the unleavened bread among their brethren.
See that? They ain't coming to the actual high places, but they'll still be partaking of unleavened bread amongst the brethren. You know you shouldn't be touching that thing. Come on.
And he defiled Topheth, which is in the valley of the children of Hinnom, that no man might make his son or his daughter to pass through the fire to Molech.
Come on.
and he took away the horses that the kings of Judah had given to the sun.
Given to the what?
The sun.
Come on.
At the entering in of the house of the Lord, by the chamber of Nathan Melech, the chamberlain, which was in the suburbs, and burned the chariots of the sun with fire.
Come on.
And the altars that were on the top of the upper chamber of Ahaz, which the kings of Judah had made, and the altars which Manasseh had made in the two courts of the house of the Lord, did the king beat down and break them down from thence, and cast the dust of them into the brook Kindred.
We're going to start right there. Pretty much the rest is King Josiah tearing everything from the littlest to the greatest. He taking everything down to dust. Israel, this is what they were supposed to do when they were driving out the Canaanites. They were supposed to drive everything out. Not even a little bit should have stood there. And Israel today got to do the same thing.
And that really goes to 2 Corinthians 10.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
When we get our strongholds.
Mm-hmm.
Cast down all imagination. That's 10:13. Cast down. Once we do that, that's what we're supposed to do with our own selves. But that's symbolic of what the vengeance we're supposed to have on our internal disobedience.
Right.
See what I'm saying?
Right.
And bringing everything, all thoughts, everything into captivity under Christ. In other words, bringing everything under his kingdom.
Yep.
We're supposed to have that type of violent reaction
Yep.
to the sin that's internally within us.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yep.
And that's exactly what Josiah represented. He represented a righteous king that actually performed, that's what you call reformation.
Mm-hmm.
He's bringing the nation under, he's reforming the nation. He's bringing it back under obedience, under YAH. Totally by getting rid of everything.
Mm-hmm.
Then after you read that, that's when you actually see he'll reinstate the Torah.
Yep.
First thing we got to do is be purged. Then he puts the Torah in us.
Yep.
And it represents him having being our sovereign in us.
Yep.
And being our sovereign Lord, our Adon over us.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yep.
then we rededicate ourselves.
Yep. Mm-hmm. And you got to look at your body as a kingdom or a temple. And there only can be one high priest or one king in that temple or that kingdom. And therefore, if we all agree that the kingdom of darkness used to be the kingdom we are part of, we got to allow his word to thoroughly purge us and extract those things out of us so that he can rightfully sit in his place within us to rule us in the right way and guide us on how we should navigate this life. And that's truly what the lesson embodies, is driving out that sin. And if you don't drive out that sin, you'll be driven away from YAH. You can't. There is no mixing and mingling with both. It's just that simple. It's either YAH or it's no way with YAH. Period. So with that being said, we say shalom, shalom to everybody on the live. We appreciate everybody who tuned in. Make sure y'all click like, subscribe, and share. We'll be back with y'all next week on the live lesson. So we say shalom, shalom to the family.
Shalom, shalom.
Shalom.